Welcome back to the Road to National series. In today's episode, I'm going to take you through a lower max workout. So my max variation for this week was an 18-inch box front squat. So I was using my bench as the 18-inch box, that's the height of the bench, and I decided to use an axle bar just because it was a bit more comfortable. An axle bar also doesn't whip, but I'm not really lifting heavy enough for that to come into play. My previous best on this is 170 kilos, which I actually only set in March. That you can see that earlier on in this series, and I normally wouldn't reattempt to max so soon, but I hit that really comfortably, so I just wanted to have an easy max in my head that I'd be able to beat. So I went for 180 kilos here. However, unfortunately, my hip and my back extension just completely gave out. My back caved forward. It just wasn't the day. I didn't even feel like 160 kilos moved well. So I did a slight sideways max maneuver into a Zercher squat max. Now my max on this was 160 kilos, and the Zercher squat is like the low bar version of a front squat. It's slightly easier on the hip and back extension. So I decided to go for 170 kilos here, and there was a slight pitch forward, but I was able to hit it. So I still came away with a new PR in max, which is definitely better than last week where everything was a disaster. So the main thing that was limiting me in that front squat, but also in the Zercher squat, as you could see, was me caving forward. So that was a weak hip and back extension, which is why for my first accessory here, I decided to do good mornings. Now, when I do good mornings, I'm trying to work on both hip extension and back extension. So what that means is I allow my back to round a bit, particularly in that bottom position and particularly the lower back, because when I'm doing an exercise like a squat or a deadlift, that is where my back is likely to round in order to give in or to fail. So when I fail a squat, what happens is I get about halfway up and I pitch forwards out of the hole, and then I fail the squat by caving forwards. And when I fail a deadlift, I pull the bar all the way up my thighs, but I can't get it to lock out. That is all indicative of weak hip and back extension. So that is why I'm doing this exercise. It's also why I picked my maxes to be like front squat / Zercher squat for this week, because that's what I wanted to work on, my sort of back and hip extension a bit, and I probably need to work on that for a while. Now, I've done really high rep here. I did, I think, sets of 15. Now, unfortunately, on this second set, you'll see at the end, I sort of stop with what looks like a lot left in the tank, and I grab my head. If you didn't see any of the videos from last week, I've had this like issue with my head. I think it's a nerve issue because it always stems from exercises with this bar when it's like higher rep and pressing on my upper back, and it shoots up into the back of my head. So I had to call it quits earlier than I'd have liked. I think I could have got at least a set of 20 here, but there you see me grab the back of my head. Luckily, it wasn't too painful. Normally, it sort of derails the entire workout, but I rested for a couple of minutes. I think because I didn't push myself to get those extra reps there, everything was fine. But a good first accessory, nice high reps, just pumping up the back and hip extensors and trying to work on that specific weakness for all of my lifts, like you saw in the Zercher and front squat. But also, I explained how it translates to my actual weaknesses in real squats and deadlifts. So the next accessory here is quad extensions. So I kept these light as well. The reason I'm going light on all my accessories, I explained this last week as well, which is why I thought I had such a poor week last week of training, is I've entered a deficit. I'm trying to drop down into the 105 kilo weight class. My body weight's sitting around 113 kilos at the moment, so I'm sort of halfway into the 120 kilo weight class, but really I have a lot of body fat that I can afford to drop, and I would be more competitive in the 105 kilo weight class. However, whilst I'm dropping the weight, I'm definitely noticing less energy within my training. It's harder for me to hit new PRs on maxes. Like if I was fully fed, I might have even hit that front squat PR just through like bullying the weight up, but it's not to be. So that is why I'm doing higher rep sets as well, to try and build a larger capacity, basically lay the groundwork for when I go back into maintenance. When I'm down in the 105s, I'll re-enter maintenance rather than a deficit and start pushing training harder. But that also includes the accessory. So that's why I've done high reps on these quad extensions as well. And continuing that theme here with the calf raises, I do really high rep calf raises. I think I managed to get a set of 30 on this first set with 100 kilos of bar weight. Now, that's actually probably like a big PR. I struggle doing high rep calf raises because my calves just pump up and they get like so painful. Like it hurts from around like rep 15 almost no matter what weight I do. Even I can only do like body weight for about 45 reps. If I try and hit 50 reps, I probably could physically, but the pain is so bad. Unfortunately, my mind fails before my body. That's not something you want in general, but I'm just like too much of a wuss to actually push through those last pain. For whatever reason, really high rep calf raises are excruciating, and these pumped up my calves so much. So it meant on the second set, I only got like 20 reps. I think I pushed maybe an extra couple out after that, but a big drop of like 10 reps by the second set because that first set of 30 on these calf raises was very taxing. Now, unfortunately, during this workout, I was starting to feel a little ill towards the end. So within these calf raises as well, I've sort of been waking up with slight like flu-y, coughy symptoms in the middle of the night. I've just been trying to like sleep through it and deal with it through sheer weight of hours of sleep. Like I've been sleeping like 9 or 10 hours a night to try and get over it. But it was affecting me for these last couple of accessories, like the calf raises there, and then now these hip abductions. These were still high rep as well, continuing the theme for all of the accessories at the moment. But it meant that I was going to do an extra accessory at the end. What I have programmed is just a miscellaneous lower exercise, so something that's going to help my lower body. Sometimes I do grip exercises because that sort of translates to gripping a deadlift. I might do like axle bar holds, but usually it would be something like reverse hypers or glute kickbacks or something else like that. I didn't do that because I was feeling really bad. I actually went inside and like lay down on the floor of my lounge for about 2 hours. It took me to recover. I just pulled a pillow and a blanket and sort of drifted off into sleep as well. So I think I'm not 100%, which is why I'm not quite like hitting all of my max efforts as well as I'd like to, but definitely better than last week anyway. So still managed to get through the workout there. So that is it for today's video. I hope you did in fact enjoy the video. If you did, drop it a like, drop it a comment, subscribe, click the bell, all of that good stuff, and I hope you have a great day.